The alarm hit my console before the ambassador even finished his sentence, and I knew, right then, that everything we had built for the last 6 years was about to break apart in front of me. My name is Daniel Ashford, and I was standing inside the grand chamber of the Galactic Council when they read out the resolution. My job was simple. I was the junior liaison for the human delegation, the one who carried reports back to Earth, the one who translated cold legal language into something our leaders could actually understand. I had seen arguments before. I had seen threats, warnings, and long, boring debates that went nowhere. But I had never seen the room go this quiet. The Council had just voted, without asking us, to seize control of Meridian Station, our largest deep space outpost, and hand its command to a Council-appointed authority. They called it a safety measure. They said humanity was growing too fast, expanding too far, becoming a risk to galactic stability. They did not ask permission. They did not even wait for our delegation to speak. The vote passed while our ambassador was still requesting the floor. I remember looking at Ambassador Miriam Cole as the final tally lit up the chamber. She did not shout. She did not slam her hand on the table like the holovids always show. She simply stood up, folded her hands together, and waited for the chamber to notice her silence. It took almost a full minute before the murmuring stopped. "You have made your decision," she said, her voice steady and quiet. "So we will make ours." Nobody understood what she meant, not yet. She turned, walked down the central aisle, and left the chamber. I followed her out, my heart pounding, my mind racing through every possible outcome. War, sanctions, some kind of formal protest. I expected all of it. I did not expect what actually happened next. By the time we reached the shuttle bay, Miriam had already sent a single encrypted message back to Earth. I did not know what it said until much later. All I knew was that within 6 hours, every human vessel docked in Council space received the same quiet order: return home. Do not engage. Do not explain. I want to be clear about something. This was not a retreat born from fear. I saw the faces of our engineers and pilots as they packed their equipment. Nobody looked afraid. They looked focused, calm, almost relieved, like they had been waiting for permission to stop pretending everything was fine. The Council, I later learned, expected a formal complaint. They expected days of negotiation, maybe a strongly worded statement, followed by humanity accepting the new terms because we needed their trade routes, their fuel depots, and their protection against the raiders that still haunted the outer systems. That is what smaller species usually did when the Council overstepped. They complained, then complied. We did neither. Over the next 2 days, every human ship left. Every human trader, engineer, and diplomat withdrew from Council territory. We did not attack a single station. We did not fire a single weapon. We simply stopped showing up. I stayed close to Miriam during this time, mostly running communications between her office and Earth Command. I remember asking her, somewhere around the 2nd day, if she was worried the Council would retaliate. She looked at me with a tired but steady expression. "They cannot retaliate against something that is no longer there," she said. "That is the whole point." It took the other species almost a week to understand what had actually happened. Humanity had not just withdrawn from Meridian Station. We had withdrawn from everything. Trade agreements, technology sharing programs, joint patrols along the contested borders. All of it stopped at once. No ultimatums, no threats, just silence. The first cracks appeared in the shipping lanes. Humanity had quietly become the backbone of interstellar logistics over the past few years. Our long-range freighters carried goods between systems that other species found too dangerous or too far to service alone. When we left, those routes did not just slow down, they collapsed. I remember watching a broadcast from the Villan Trade Council, a species we had worked closely with for cargo transport. Their spokesperson looked exhausted, almost desperate, as she explained that 3 major supply chains had failed within 72 hours of human withdrawal. Food shortages were already being reported on 2 outer colonies. Then came the security gap. For years, human patrol ships had helped guard the border systems against raiders, an old enemy that predated even our arrival in Council space. These raiders had been quiet for a long time, mostly because they knew human ships were fast, well-armed, and always ready to respond. Within days of our withdrawal, raider activity spiked along 3 different border zones. The Council scrambled to fill the gap with ships from other member species, but nothing moved as fast or hit as precisely as what we had quietly been providing all along. I started receiving private messages during this period, not through official channels, but through backdoor communication lines some species used when they wanted to talk without the Council listening. A young diplomat named Corwin Ash, representing the Dalek people, reached out to me directly. He did not go through the Council chain of command. He asked, quietly, if humanity would consider a private trade agreement, something separate from the larger political mess. I brought this to Miriam immediately. She read the message twice before setting it down. This is exactly what I expected, she said. The Council thinks it speaks for everyone. It does not. It never did. Over the following weeks, more messages arrived. Some species wanted private trade deals. Others wanted direct security arrangements. A few simply wanted to apologize, quietly, for staying silent when the vote was passed. Humanity did not respond to all of them right away. Miriam wanted the Council to feel the full weight of what they had done before we offered anyone a way out. I asked her once if she felt guilty, watching colonies struggle while we held back. She shook her head firmly. We offered peace for 6 years, she said. We followed their rules. We tolerated their restrictions. This was never about revenge, Daniel. This is about them learning that peace is not something you can force on someone by taking things away from them. The Council held an emergency session about 3 weeks after our withdrawal. I was not in the chamber this time, but I watched the recording later. Representatives from a dozen species stood up, one after another, criticizing the resolution that had started everything. Many admitted, for the first time, that they had voted for it out of fear, not because they truly believed humanity posed a danger. The Council chairman, a tall and usually composed figure named Director Halverson Trey, tried to defend the original decision. He argued that Meridian Station's location made it a strategic risk if left entirely under human control. But his own allies did not back him this time. One by one, they distanced themselves from his position. By the end of that session, the Council voted to reverse the resolution entirely. Meridian Station would remain under human authority, but reversing the vote did not undo the damage. It did not restore the trust that had quietly been breaking for years, hidden behind polite meetings and diplomatic smiles. Miriam received the formal reversal notice on a quiet afternoon. I was standing beside her when the message came through. She read it slowly, then set it aside without much reaction. They want us back, she said, more to herself than to me. But they still think this ends with an apology, and everything returns to normal. It did not. Humanity did return to Council space eventually, but on very different terms. We negotiated new agreements, ones that gave us full independence over our own fleet command, our own border patrols, and our own trade decisions. No more shared oversight. No more emergency clauses that let the Council override us without a vote. The other species, shaken by weeks of shortages and exposed borders, agreed to almost everything we asked. They had learned, the hard way, what it actually cost to lose humanity's quiet, steady presence. I remember the final signing ceremony, held in a much smaller room than the Grand Chamber, this time with far fewer cameras and far more honesty. Corwin Ash was there, representing the Dalek people, and he shook my hand warmly before the ceremony began. You did not fight us, he said. You simply stopped needing us. That frightened everyone more than any war could have. I thought about that sentence for a long time afterward. Humanity had spent years trying to prove it belonged among the stars, following every rule, accepting every restriction, hoping that patience alone would earn respect. But respect never came from patience. It came the moment we showed we did not need anyone's permission to protect what was ours. Miriam retired from active diplomacy not long after that, but she left me with one lesson I have carried ever since. Peace built on fear is not peace at all. It is just borrowed time, waiting for someone to overstep. And when that moment finally comes, the strongest response is not anger, and it is not violence. Sometimes, the loudest thing you can do is walk away, quietly, and let the silence speak for itself. That is exactly what we did. And the galaxy has never looked at humanity the same way since.